Hi everyone, welcome to the Game Plan with Hunter Hughes. West Texas A&M faced a top 10 opponent for the second straight week this past Saturday as West Texas A&M hosted the number 9 ranked team in all of Division II, Texas A&M Commerce. Buffs fought hard, but in the end fell by the final of 34-16 to Commerce. And so with that loss, the overall record now for WT goes to 3 wins and 6 losses. And just 2 games remain in the 2017 season for WT. This Saturday, the Buffs will travel on the road. They'll go to San Angelo, where they will take on Angelo State, and that game will be a 6 p.m. kickoff from San Angelo at LeGrand Stadium. With that, let's welcome in our head coach, Hunter Hughes. Coach, thanks for being with us.
I appreciate you having me.
All right, so Coach, go back and we talked about last week's game against Texas A&M Commerce, and I know a lot of different things you could talk about out of that loss. For me, one of the big things that I took from it was a very physical game. I mean, you had 2 teams that were from the beginning really hitting hard. They actually, both sides had some injuries after that game. But talk about just first the physical nature of the game.
Well, that's who we want to be, and it just showed that we've got a little ways to go in getting stronger, getting in the weight room, and being able to compete against the top 10 teams in the country. And
right.
I think the last 2 weeks has shown that. I think we might have been pushed around a little bit when we played Pueblo earlier in the year, but we were able to get some turnovers and make things happen in that game. We couldn't get the turnovers this week. Good teams do that. Good teams hold on to the ball and keep the ball. But as we go through and look at the game, I'm proud of the fact that we had the ball for 11 minutes in the first quarter, but the bad thing is we couldn't do anything with it. And that's where we have to work on, and we're stressing in practice all the time. And
inside the red zone.
Inside the red zone. And, it's just hard to simulate what a team is doing because we're running against scouts, and they're not as big, fast, or physical as what we see on Saturday.
Yeah. One thing that you could take out of the game as well is defensively. So we give up 1 touchdown in the first half on a kick return, a 100-yard kick return, take that out of the way. Then in the second half, the defense played really well. Luis Perez, he got his yardage. In fact, he broke a record in that game for Commerce, but only 7 points that we gave up in the second half, so a good effort again from the defense.
Yeah, I think they're, they want to step up to the challenge, and Perez is a heck of a quarterback, and he deserves all the credit he gets and all the recognition he gets. You could sit there and tell he was able to move out of the pocket, and
if he had time, it was accurate.
And wait and throw the ball right. And so my hat's off to them and what they did. And I'm proud of our guys for hanging in there and sticking with it. And we never gave up. And I think that's where we're going now. Is how do we want to be remembered in this last 2 games? Is do we want to be a team that folds the tent and says, okay, it's over, or are we going to be a team that fights and is prideful? And I believe our guys are going to fight. I believe that we're going to come out and we're going to, give everything we got, every single play, and see what happens at the end of the game.
All right. Well, we've highlighted some of the individual players this year for West Texas A&M. Talked about some guys on the defensive side, so I wanted to give some love to the offense as well, and talk about 2 players who had really good games this past weekend against Commerce and having good seasons as well. One of those, the running back Warren Witherspoon, and then also the other is the tight end Junior Paul May. So first, Coach, with Warren, the last 3 games, Warren's carried the ball an average of 21 times per game. He is really carrying the rock for your team. Been some injuries at the running back spot, but also Warren runs with a very physical style, which I know you like. So talk about Warren and the things that he's done this year. I know you want him to work on ball security, and he's tried to do that.
Well, we went to Tarleton State, and Warren kind of got in the doghouse with me a little bit, and because he was late for a meeting and missed a meal, missed breakfast, overslept, and he instead of hanging his head and just giving it up, he came back and he started practicing hard and started doing the little things right. It was like a wake-up call for him, and he's been an outstanding addition to what we've done in the running game. And with the injuries, he's really picked it up. He's a spark for our team when he runs the ball because he runs so hard.
He had a run in the second half, which really got the sideline going.
Well, our defense sits on the side, and they see him run and the way he does it, and they get excited about it. And they see his physicality, and they want to go out and do the same thing. And I think it pumps the offensive line up. It just gets our whole sideline going. So if he could secure the ball a lot better, he'd have a lot more touches than he had right now.
Sure. And then the other player is Junior Palme, and obviously Junior, one of the most athletic guys that we have on the team. Tight end / defensive player, played defense just at the start. Just a little flirting with the defensive side there. But talk about the things that Junior does. He caught a touchdown pass, and I think one of the things you wanted to see from him this year is him get better at his blocking.
Well, I think the move to defense helped him understand leverage better because he'd never been attached as a tight end, and he had to play physical as a nose guard. And circumstances went back to where we moved him back to tight end, and he's a very smart football player. He picked it right back up where he left off, picked up the defense, and probably could go in there and play some defense for us if we needed him to. Yeah. But he has gone and made great strides this year in everything he's done. He's our personal protector on the punt team. He's on the kickoff return team. He's on the punt return team to go up and smash the shield when we play some shield teams. So when you talk about a guy unselfish, and when he really wasn't like that at first, and he has bought into what we're doing, and I've even named him. I do captains week to week, and I've named him captain multiple times because of his attitude, his work ethic, and to me the growth he has made from when me and our staff got here to where he is now. And I am very proud of him, and he's going to get an opportunity at the next level, I believe. And
got some big hands.
Oh yeah, big strong hands, and he gets his mitts on you. He can do things, but he's still learning a little bit about that position. But I think if somebody gets him in camp later on, I think he'll make an impression on him.
Yeah, look for Junior Palme, maybe on an NFL team next year. So, Coach, we just put a wrap on the month of October, and I want to kind of ask you a little bit about that. October is personally my favorite month, and for a couple of different reasons. First of all, the sports angle. Football, college football is in full swing, NFL's in full swing. The World Series is being played, which, this year, what a World Series it's been between Houston and the Dodgers, keeping people up late at night. So that's been fun. And then, of course, you have Halloween. The weather starts to change a little bit. So I'm all in on October, but I wanted to ask you, do you have a favorite month or maybe a favorite time of the year?
I would probably say August, because that's when we get started and get players back, and it's a grind. I mean, we keep them here for about 3 weeks, and from about 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. meetings and practice, but it's fun to get the players back and getting into what we do.
Sure, that's a good answer there. Let's move on. Let's talk about the Buffs' opponent for this Saturday. It's the Angelo State Rams. The Rams with a 4-4 overall record this season, 2-4 in Lone Star Conference play, and they're coming off of a big win that they had last Saturday. They beat Western New Mexico 44-7 was the score there. Racked up a lot of yardage, over 600 total yards. They had nearly 300 yards on the ground. Coach, this is a team, and they had forced 3 turnovers as well defensively, but Angelo State, a team that, I heard you say earlier this week that they're going to get up to the line and run quickly. They're going to try to run a lot of plays. They average 33 points per game. They have a couple of different quarterbacks that they've rotated throughout the season. A talented running back as well, I believe almost 700 yards for the young man Stevens. So your thoughts on Angelo State, a team, even though only with 4 wins, they're pretty powerful.
Well, they probably will run 100 plays, and with our depth on the defensive side, it's going to be a great challenge for us. Quarterback's two-headed monster, and they could go. I don't know if one is that much superior than the other one. They both are really good players, and they complement each other well when they're coming in, when they're in there. You got to stop the run game, and if you can force them to pass and make them one-dimensional, then I think we got a chance to do some things. Offensively, again, we got to control the football and not turn it over. And our best defense will be our offense holding on to the ball. And that's the bottom line. And if we can win the time of possession by a good margin and keep our defense off the field, then I think we got a shot.
Yeah, well, good luck this Saturday against the Rams. Again, that's Saturday, 6 p.m. From San Angelo. And Buff fans, you can tune in to Lone Star 98.7. We'll have the pregame for you starting at 5, and then the kickoff at 6 p.m. from LeGrand Stadium for Angelo State in West Texas A&M. And it's going to be hot. I already looked at the forecast, and it's high 80s for Saturday in San Angelo. So,
makes it even better for us.
Yeah, that warm November weather, right, in Texas. So also want to mention before we close out out the show a congratulations to our cross-country teams, our men's and women's cross-country teams. They are competing this Saturday for the South Central Regional Championship, hosting here in Canyon. So good luck to Coach Jake Krolik and the West Texas A&M men's and women's cross-country team. They've had a great season. Hopefully they can keep that thing going and qualify to the national championships. Also, before we close out the show, on a personal note, want to take time to say that we at West Texas A&M are sending our thoughts and our prayers out to the family of Tatum Schulte. Tatum, the 9-year-old who battled cancer courageously earlier this week, passed away. She lost that battle. And so for all of Buff Nation, we want to tell her father Travis and her mom Shauna and her sister Shaylin that we are certainly thinking about you and praying for you during this hard time. Buff fans certainly supporting Team Tatum throughout that struggle. And I know, Coach, that she was, last year for me, she came on our coach's show, and Tatum, she walks into the room, she lit up the room, she had a big smile and a big fight, big heart that I think was an inspiration to a lot of people.
Well, I met her at when we went to the schools for the first day, and it's the first time I'd ever met Tatum, and exactly right. She had a smile on her face all the time. You never would have known anything was, you can see it affecting her, but she had such a great disposition about her and a way of looking at life for such a young girl. And, our hearts go out and our prayers go out to her and her family and, everybody she affected at Crestview and everywhere around there. So. Yeah.
All right, and so that will do it for this week's episode. For head coach Hunter Hughes, I'm Lucas Kinsey. Remember, Buff fans, join us, tune in, Lone Star 98.7, 6 o'clock Saturday as the Buffs take on Angelo State.